Yo, James Roxer here, and I've got a question that's been rattling in my brain ever since I finished Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3. Did we just witness the most bizarre, secretly genius expansion of the DCU, or did James Gunn and his writers lose their minds and then somehow stick the landing? Because in the span of one single episode, we got callbacks to the Suicide Squad, deep lore DCU references that reshuffle canon itself, and I can't believe I'm about to say this out loud, the introduction of the mighty Crabjoys.
Yeah, the mighty Crabjoys.
And no, that's not a random seafood platter special, that's apparently canon now. Here's the thing, this episode doesn't just expand Peacemaker's world, it's actually planting seeds for the DCU's future. Hidden in jokes, background props, and blink, and you'll miss it, dialogue are Easter eggs that directly link this show to Suicide Squad's bloody legacy, and more importantly, to the rebooted DCU James Gunn is building brick by brick. If you think Episode 3 was just another round of dick jokes and helmet gags, you're not paying attention. Underneath the absurdity, this might be one of the most important chapters of the new DC universe. But let me start with the moment that floored me. Out of nowhere, Peacemaker references an old team up gone wrong, and the camera just happens to pan across a photo pinned in Harcourt's safe house. Did you catch it? That photo includes not only Bloodsport and Ratcatcher 2, but also Polka, Dotman. Wait, hold up. Polka. Dotman died in the Suicide Squad. Remember Starro? Remember the giant foot smash?
Yeah, dead.
So why is there an updated photo suggesting that Polka, Dotman might have survived longer than we thought? Either this is a continuity slip, or Gunn is low-key reconning parts of the Suicide Squad into the DCU canon. And if that's true, what else has quietly shifted? And then there's the crab thing. The mighty Crabjoys sound like a throwaway gag. Peacemaker rants about how Aquaman once fought them, and Vigilante just casually mentions they're probably still hiding out in the Mariana Trench. Everyone laughs. It feels like a dumb joke. But here's the forbidden knowledge you need to know. The Crabjoys aren't random. They're actually a deep pull from obscure Aquaman comics in the 80s. Barely anyone remembers them. A mutated crustacean species with psychic hive mind powers. Gunn just casually dropped them into canon. And if Aquaman fought them once, that means the DCU has already had wars under the sea that we've never seen. What else is lurking down there? The Crabjoys aren't just a gag, they're a door. So now we've got a weird situation. Episode 3 is making us laugh, sure, but it's also quietly rewriting what's canon in this new DCU. And if you've been following my breakdowns, you know I warned you this would happen. I said back in my Suicide Squad analysis that Gunn would blur the line between comedy and continuity, slipping real lore into jokes so that only the most obsessive fans would catch it. And here we are, exactly that. Here's where it gets controversial though. Peacemaker is shaping up to be the cornerstone of the DCU, and not everyone's happy about it. Fans are already arguing online, should this R-rated, unhinged comedy really be the show deciding what's canon? Or is it disrespectful to the darker, more serious side of the DCU? Think about it. We're relying on a dude who wears chrome helmets that fart sonic booms to establish the legacy of Suicide Squad, the direction of Amanda Waller's Shadow Ops, and possibly even Aquaman's untold battles. That's insane, but let me be real with you. I love it. Why? Because this is exactly how James Gunn operates. He takes the dumbest, most forgotten corners of comic book history and transforms them into gold. Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Polka, Dotman, and now the mighty Crabjoys. This is forbidden knowledge turned mainstream. Stuff DC execs buried decades ago is suddenly the connective tissue of the entire universe. And here's the big question looping in my head, and I want you to comment your answer below. If Gunn is willing to revive obscure lore, like the Crabjoys, who else could be lurking in the shadows of the DCU waiting for a comeback? Kate Man? Condiment King? Or could we actually see a return of characters like Bloodsport, Ratcatcher 2, or even Polka, Dotman himself despite their supposed fates? Because this episode strongly suggests nothing is off the table. But let's pause right here, because if you've been enjoying this breakdown so far, and if you don't want to miss the next wave of secrets, theories, and forbidden DCU connections, this is the moment where you have to subscribe to the channel. Seriously, we're building the ultimate map of Gunn's DCU, and you're not going to want to be on the outside when the next reveal drops. Alright, let's go even deeper. There's one Easter egg almost nobody noticed, and it changes everything about how the Suicide Squad connects to the DCU reboot, so let's talk about the Suicide Squad-sized elephant in the room. Because Episode 3 doesn't just wink at the past, it practically rewrites it. That Harcourt safe house photo I mentioned, it's not the only clue. In the background of Waller's encrypted file scene, we see surveillance photos, not just of Peacemaker and Vigilante, but of Harley Quinn, yes. Harley Quinn, still active, still being tracked, which means two things. One, Amanda Waller isn't done with Task Force X. The Suicide Squad isn't over, it's evolving. Gunn is confirming that Harley Quinn, whether Margot Robbie or recast, exists in this new DCU timeline. And if that's the case, then Peacemaker isn't just a spin-off. It's the main artery feeding blood into the DCU's heart. But here's the kicker. If Harley's on Waller's radar, that means she could still collide with Peacemaker down the line. Can you even imagine the chaos of Peacemaker trying to one-up Harley in quippy banter? It would be meme fuel for a decade. And the Suicide Squad ties don't stop there. Remember when Vigilante drops that weird line about not all of us making it back from Corto Maltese? It's not just a throwaway. That's him confirming the events of the Suicide Squad are canon in this continuity. Corto Maltese happened. Bloodsport fought Starro. Peacemaker shot Rick Flag. The squad's mission exists as history. But here's where it gets strange. Episode 3 tweaks that history. Characters who died might not have. Events we thought were definitive suddenly aren't. This is Gunn quietly rewriting his own story. And that's where the controversy really begins. Because some fans see this as cheating. If Polka Dot Man, for example, is alive, does that undercut the emotional punch of his sacrifice? Or is it brilliant world building, planting seeds for a bigger DCU future? Now let's pivot to something even crazier. The mighty Crabjoys. They're not just some obscure Aquaman villain drop. Look at the dialogue again. Peacemaker says they're still out there waiting. That line isn't a joke, it's a setup. It's basically Gunn telling us expect the Crabjoys to show up later. And if they do, think about what that means. Aquaman fought them once. They survived. And now, in a world where Jason Momoa's Aquaman might not continue, the Crabjoys could be the perfect way to reset the underwater mythos for the DCU. Instead of repeating the same Orm, Vez, Arthur plotlines, Gunn could use the Crabjoys as the weird, terrifying sea villains to launch a new Aquaman chapter. That's forbidden knowledge in plain sight. But here's where it gets personal. Watching Peacemaker wrestle with his past in this episode, I couldn't help but notice Gunn is using humor as misdirection. While we're laughing at Crabjoy jokes and Vigilante's idiocy, Peacemaker is actually haunted by what he did in the Suicide Squad. Remember that flash of guilt when he mentions Flag? That's not an accident. That's planting the seed for Peacemaker's ongoing arc, redemption. And maybe, just maybe, episode 3 is telling us the Suicide Squad story isn't over because Peacemaker still needs closure with the ghosts of that team. Let me ask you directly, if Rick Flag somehow returned, would that ruin his death, or would it give us the ultimate confrontation with Peacemaker's guilt? I want your thoughts in the comments, because this is the debate DC fans are already splitting over. Now, mid-video check, in time, humor me for a second. If you were in Task Force X, what ridiculous power would you bring to the team? Because me, I'd probably be the dude who trips over his own cape and immediately die in the opening scene. But seriously, drop your superhero fails in the comments. I'll be reading them all, and the funniest one might even get a shout out in my next breakdown. Let's also do a quick callback to a past video. Remember when I said Amanda Waller is the most dangerous person in the DCU? Not Superman, not Darkseid. Episode 3 just proved me right. She's still out there, she's still controlling the board, and she's got her claws in Peacemaker's life, even when he thinks he's free. That's the forbidden secret of the DCU, Z. Waller is the connective tissue. Peacemaker Season 2 is just another one of her games. And that brings me to the most chilling Easter egg of the episode. Did you notice the file Peacemaker never got to open? The one hardcore quickly closed. It had a code name, Project M. No explanation, no context, just Project M. Now, hardcore DC fans already know what that might mean. Project M in comics is tied to the Monster Brigade, a team of experimental soldiers made from monsters. That's right, zombies, werewolves, vampires, Frankenstein's monster. Imagine if Gunn is hinting that Project M exists in the DCU. Suddenly, Peacemaker isn't just a comedy, it's a backdoor pilot for DC's supernatural corner. That's why I keep saying this episode is more than it looks. It's not just a bunch of gags and action sequences. It's forbidden knowledge dressed up as humor. Suicide Squad history is being reshaped. Forgotten villains like the Crabjoys are crawling back into the light, and terrifying projects like M are being planted for the future. But here's the looping question that keeps me hooked: is Gunn giving us a brilliant roadmap? Or is he setting himself up for a continuity nightmare? Because right now, every Easter egg feels like a clue, but also a ticking time bomb. And trust me, we're only scratching the surface, because there's one more Easter egg hidden in plain sight, a background poster that might secretly confirm the DCU's next big villain. And almost nobody caught it.